Hey everyone, my name is Jorge Valenzuela and I'm an education coach at Lifelong Learning Defined, and I also teach at Old Dominion University.
Let's go, ODU.
I am Jean Darnell. I am known as Awakened Librarian on social media. I'm the library director for the School District of Philadelphia. Woo! Yeah. And I'm a hustler.
Let's go.
Okay.
Hi, friends.
I'm a
Andre
hustler.
Doughty here from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
There we
Just
go.
glad to be here. Let's
we
go.
go.
All right. Well, welcome to the show, everybody. You guys know who the heck I am. So I'd like to thank everybody. If this is your first time tuning in, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. But this is recorded, technically it's February 2nd, 2025. I can't believe we're already in February.
Right.
This is being recorded at TCEA 2025 on location. So I'm not sure when and where you're listening to this. Just know that that is the official recording date. And we've got 4 of us on here.
Yeah.
And that's specifically why I bought equipment. That way we can always have more than one person. But we've been trying to get connected for quite some time. Pre-FETC, I think even like maybe Georgia Educational Technology Conference around that time.
That's right. That's
And
right.
I think I reached out during that time. It might have been like September or October. And you mentioned you weren't going to be at FETC, but you were indeed going to be here. So
Well, I was actually there for one day.
you were there for one day.
Just one day. I
Okay.
had one session and I had to go back to another gig, so
Okay.
I couldn't make it.
All right. Sounds good. Now, I am kind of blessed in the fact that I am surrounded by featured speakers, current and past,
Yeah.
previous featured speakers. So tell us what year, what conference you are officially a featured speaker at, and we'll go down the line.
All right, so 2022, TCEA partnered with IdeaCon, and it was a joint conference online, and IdeaCon made me a featured speaker, which
Okay.
automatically made me a TCEA as well. And when I did my session, it just blew up. And the next year, I got a phone call or email saying, hey, we want you. No, it was 2021 online and 2022 back in person, and they brought me in person. And so I came in person, and then I took a year off. I did the keynote last year, and then I got an email inviting me back saying I had great feedback.
All right.
So I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you.
All right.
That's why he's George. Let's go.
So my hustle, last year we were invited. They were trying to bring more librarians to the conference.
Okay.
And so I did a session.
TCEA
Yes,
specifically.
TCEA was
Okay.
trying to bring more librarians. They had a big population. And they didn't have enough, content to really support it. So I was on a panel last year, teaching young librarians and even older librarians some new tricks that they had. And then this year they reached out to me in advance. They're like, Jean, we had such a great, feedback from your session. How about you do 3 sessions for this year? I was like, well, sure.
And she was on Dr. Phil, y'all.
Yes.
So she's
What?
big time. And
Yeah,
she's a celebrity, y'all.
I
And
am.
she's
I was
big
on
time.
Dr. Phil
Oh,
talking
she's
about
big time.
AI. That's my hustle because
Wow.
I missed it in like the first tech wave when it was coding and everything. I was late to it. So I said, if there's ever anything that changes in technology again, I'm going to be on top of it. Out came generative AI. I was like, oh, bro.
I think you're right on time,
So
sis.
I started
Yeah.
Right on
typing up. I
time.
started
Let's go.
investigating to see what it was about. And I took a, ethical lens,
Yeah.
copyright, all of the stuff that's in my field as librarian, and the biases. Published an
Oh,
article,
biases.
PBS picked it up.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Then
Okay.
Miller came calling, and we formed a bond there. And then Dr. Phil was right around the corner.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history. Now I'm
The rest is
here
history,
talking
yeah.
about
Let's
AI
go.
as
No
an
pun
expert.
intended, but
I'm
in the
Google
books.
certified.
Yeah.
I mean,
In
so
the
I
books.
have the skills to back it up. I'm not just
She
blowing
got
blowing
receipts,
smoke.
y'all.
Yeah,
She got
that's
receipts.
what you
I have
said.
to come with
That's what
receipts. You know
Yeah.
that people want a card in a minute. I'm like, bam, bam.
Right.
So, but that's how I'm here. I have a session coming up. Look, I'm
Let's
excited
go.
about it.
Let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Andre, how about you, man?
Yeah, so this was one of my top 5 dreams. When you hustle and you want to do educational things like this, TCA was one of the top 5. And I remember year after year submitting proposals, and they pulled up and they enjoyed it, had great feedback, was a featured speaker. And this is when it blows your mind when you look outside of your room and you see a long line of
yeah.
people, and you're like, just dreams
It's a great
coming
feeling.
true.
Yeah.
And that's
TCEA,
dopest.
It's a great
better
feeling.
than
dopest thing ever.
Disney.
Let's go.
And
Yeah.
y'all,
Dopest
and y'all,
feeling ever.
wait, hold on. So Andre is being real nice right now, but he's
cool,
Andre
man.
Doughty.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best public speakers, keynoters that you maybe heard or you never heard. But this man right here, he's been facilitating nationally
Yeah.
before I started.
That's true.
Nationally. Yes.
Yeah.
I remember my first day at PBL Works, Buck Institute. I walked into the lobby and that's the man I met.
Yeah.
2014.
Get
Yeah.
your flowers.
Long time
Get your
ago.
flowers.
Long time ago.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah. Good run. Good
Yeah.
run. And here's the best part. I mean, we all just getting started.
Exactly.
There you go.
There's so
it takes
much
10
more
years
to
to get
do.
started.
Yeah.
It takes 10 years to get started.
At least.
And this might sound horrible at face value, but when you digest it, it makes sense. This is the worst you'll be.
Wow.
This is the worst you'll be.
Agreed.
Wow.
Yeah. And tomorrow you're going to be better.
Yeah.
Walking away from this conference, you're going to take away things that you maybe didn't know, or maybe insight or perspective. My big thing is perspective is, especially with teachers, they don't know what they don't know. I don't know what I don't know. I might be confined to my four walls as a classroom teacher. I might be confined to my building within my administration or within my organization. But it's not until I get out that I realize, number one, I'm probably already doing great things and I didn't know it, but I needed something like this to make me realize, you know what, I could have taught that session. I could have done that.
Yeah.
Or
this is what I
learned something new and I need to take this back for my students.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So this is the worst you're going to be in blank. And I talk about like tools, like, I was playing around with actually this episode is sponsored by Brisk Teaching. And, I was showing somebody Brisk Teaching a little bit earlier, the extension. And I said to them, this is the worst it's going to be. And they were like, they were confused. Like, what are you talking about? I said, it's only going to get better. AI as we know it is the worst it's going to be. One thing that I said at one of my speaker events was, you guys have children?
Yes.
Oh, of course.
Ages. Give me ages.
16 and 22.
16, 22.
22.
19, 22.
19, 22.
19, 22. 19 and about to be 17. So,
We're not old, though. Don't get that
Look,
twisted.
look at
Yeah.
And again, I do want to piggyback off the AI thing you said.
Yeah.
So it's interesting you say that it's really evolving. So generative AI is just one.
It's 2 years old.
It's one version of AI, right? It's one that we can use.
Right.
But if you follow the major player is NVIDIA. And NVIDIA is about to drop a new computer for $3,000 that's going to enable us to do things that we can't do right now with our laptop or our phone.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. So I use about 6-7 AI tools in my work. And I'm a podcaster too. Lifelong Learning Defined. Please subscribe if you get
good
it.
plug.
That's right. You got a beautiful living room in the background.
Let's go.
But when I try to improve a 90-second reel using an AI app, it works.
Exactly.
But when you try to improve a 50-minute video, it takes 20 hours.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So the new computers are going to have a capability to enhance our productivity and the things we're doing now and bring it on a different level.
Yeah.
So I would say, to do what we do, education consultants, you're a speaker / coach, an entrepreneur. I don't see how you could be an entrepreneur without these tools.
That's a whole different conversation on its own. Is when I started getting into consulting, a couple of years ago, when I started taking things serious and being like, okay, the feedback I'm getting, the line that I'm seeing at certain sessions and that. Okay, and I had districts reaching out about, can you come speak for us, do this, that, and the other.
Right.
I started talking with others, and I was like, all right, I need to get some more educational books to learn more. And big shout out to Mandy Freilich. Mandy turned to me and said,
I love Mandy.
Yeah, she turned to me and said, you need to start buying business books.
Exactly.
Stop buying educational books. You need to start buying business books because you are now a business. So open up, the two
business
LLCs and all that. And you got to
right.
start getting your branding out there. And then every so often you redefine yourself.
Right.
You redefine what you do and your new iteration of yourself.
But I do want to shout out the GOAT of the speakers or of the education consultants. It's Principal Kafele. I don't know if y'all know him.
Oh, yeah.
But he stresses, be a business person, but you got to be a speaker, a great communicator.
Exactly.
You need to be able to
relationship
explain.
builder.
Right. So it's two things we're working on there, right?
Yeah. And I think that's where the balance really comes in. So if you are an educator, you already have that speaking part down. So you have to learn the business. Or if you are a businessman, businesswoman, business human, then you got to learn how to communicate what you're saying in simplified but yet effective words.
Right.
So it's that balance of both. Yeah.
And there's an ugly stigma that because we're in education, you're not supposed to make money off of it. And that is...
We're about to change that narrative.
Yeah, that is... You can't be anymore.
So I believe this. The reason why we speak on education topics and we help grow teachers should not be for money.
No.
It should
You're
be,
absolutely right.
It should be for helping others, and we be passionate. But let's be very clear. That's the speaking side. That's our coaching side. Our why should always be about helping others. But when you're running a business, the purpose of a business is to increase your profit and your margin and lower your costs. So it is essentially making money
And increase your reach.
and increase your your reach
Scale.
as well.
Right.
Right?
Scale.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
It's no different than a classroom. I mean, you got to reach your audience. In order to reach your audience, you have to know your audience. Number one. Chapter 1 of my book. That's right. Big shout out.
Big shout out to his book.
Know your audience. Yeah. If they don't eat fish, then maybe don't invite them over for fish tacos. I learned that the hard way. But yeah, you have to know your audience. You have to be able to scale. You have to be able to know what to say, what not to say, and
But you also got to plant those seeds in your audience.
You absolutely
So when
have to.
they're walking away and it's 2 weeks later and something you said pops up in their brain, they're like, yeah, I need to go back to this moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's got to be done with love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
exactly.
plant the seed with love.
Yeah. So I used to DJ in college. I actually had multiple jobs.
Really?
What's your
I used
DJ
to
name?
Uh-oh.
I didn't really have a DJ name, but I did like. I'm not kidding. I battled. I was a scratch DJ. I was
Oh,
a
wow.
party DJ.
Tell it.
If I needed to be a jukebox, I could be a jukebox. That's no
Okay,
problem.
let's go.
But
Hey, did you see Juice back in the day with Tupac?
Juice.
Yeah, remember
The
How
Juice?
many
movie.
times?
Okay,
no,
so-
no, no,
so-
come on, man.
Okay.
So don't you remember how?
Yeah. When he realized that
Right,
the
like
police
record-
were looking for him.
Right, right.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, there's Janine right there. What's up,
Yeah,
Janine?
Janine. Big shout out to Janine Freeman. over
When
there.
you have the Tech Thrillas here, we have a
Janine, let's
name
come around and say
now.
hello. Let's come around and say hello.
Yeah.
So everybody, we were asked on the podcast before Janine Freeman came about how we became speakers or featured speakers at the conference. That's the lady right there, y'all.
Yeah.
She made it happen.
So show her some love, lift her
Yeah.
abs.
Go, Janine.
Big shout out.
Thank you.
That just goes to show there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that
It's
we
a lot,
don't see.
Yeah,
We never see.
And a lot of love here at this conference.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
A lot
one
of
thing I
love.
learned, going back to the DJing is I never did it for the money. I did it because I grew up.
Love hip hop.
I grew up on hip hop.
It's
An
our love language.
Absolute hip hop head. A lot of people don't know that about me.
That's dope,
I'm
man.
an
It's my
absolute hip
culture.
hop head.
Yo, hip hop
Yeah.
is my culture. So
Right.
Yeah.
I understand.
Manny Faces. You ever talk to Manny Faces?
No.
Okay, so he's a New Yorker who now lives in Georgia. I met him at the GA/ETC conference. We had I was going through the app and I saw his session, how hip hop can save the world, and it caught my attention. I saw him, I caught him. We actually recorded a podcast and we did a deep dive on top 5 from Brooklyn and every
Nice,
borough.
nice,
but
nice, nice.
but
Oh, I bet that was controversial.
I grew up, and we couldn't say Jay-Z.
Yeah.
I grew up on hip hop, and I did it for the love. And then when people started asking about me doing gigs in that, it was the cherry on top. But it was because I had a love for that particular medium, that outlet, that culture, that first, and then the money came after
But
that.
that's how I connected with my kids, was using the language of hip hop.
Yes.
It
Big shout
has
out to Manny Faces.
transferred
Right,
Yeah.
like for
right.
30 years now. We just celebrated 50
50
year
years of hip-hop.
anniversary
Yep.
of hip hop
Last year.
But for the generation of kids, when I brought in a book, DJ Kool Herc, and he, my kids
Kool
were just
Herc.
like, what
Okay.
do you know about hip hop?
Yeah.
What do you know? And I started explaining to them. I was like, what do you know? Can you dance hip hop? And they were just like, I said, you know what a b-boy
What are
is?
the elements of hip hop?
The
Yeah,
best
yeah,
day in the
yeah.
library is when I had my kids break dancing.
Ooh.
And I had a girl just come out here, quietest girl, didn't even know that she communicated. I thought maybe
Yeah, yeah.
there was some kind of,
Introvert.
She did a handstand. She just busted out, got in the
wow.
circle, and just boom, bam. And I was just like,
Wow.
oh my gosh. And I just happened to be recording at that moment. And
Wow.
principal comes running and what's going on in this libriary? It's too loud. I was
Yeah.
like, we B-boys right now. She's
Yeah.
like, and she was like, let me show you how I hit
Oh,
this.
okay.
I was like, wait a minute. So
We
it
got a
was just,
movement now.
yes,
Got a
it was,
movement.
it was in that moment of community. And that's what hip hop has always been about.
Yeah.
When you go back to the old school, it's about unity within the community.
So I'll say this. When I was in high school, I was in a group home. I was in
Okay.
foster care. And I was a kid. I'm Latino. And I grew up in New York, in Queens. I was born in the Bronx. And so I didn't know my own ethnicity's culture and all of that. But when I was in the group home and I went to school, hip hop was the culture.
Yeah.
So we had a framework for how we communicated. Lingo, music, fashion, and
Exactly.
sports. And to be honest with y'all, it's not really relevant in all the spaces I'm in. So I don't switch my voice, but I speak in the vernacular of who's in front of me.
Yep. Code
But the way
switching.
that I communicate at home and with my closest friends is through that framework to this day.
Okay.
You are what you are when you got here.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's how it got you here.
That's how it got me here,
Yeah.
right?
That's how it got you in the room.
Right.
Yeah.
And look, and I want to show you something really quick. In fact, I'll pull it up and then y'all talk.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So how has well, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. After your first official being a featured speaker, how did everything change for you after that?
Yeah.
Think about that.
I became known in spaces that did not know me. So Andre and I started coaching in schools around the country through an organization. So for folks who are interested in being an education consultant, there's two ways you can go about this. One way is go solo on your own, be your own company, or you could be a backup for another organization and you're going to represent them and their company and their work. There's no shame in either one.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to start out for another organization. And Andre and I started that way. So before I became known nationally through being a featured speaker, I had already been to 29 states and over 70 cities in our country. So my confidence in my coaching and my teaching was really, really high. But being a speaker is something else. And I learned the hard way.
Oh, that's
I learned the hard
It's
way.
two different worlds.
ISTE had a summer learning academy in 2020. It was my first featured speaker opportunity. And when I saw the video, I was horrified
Wow.
at how many filler words, how many stutters,
Yeah.
not looking in the camera, not knowing
Yeah.
what to do, but the people liked it. They liked it because of the passion. And I
You
went
were
ba-
relatable, yeah.
but I went back and I corrected all of that
Mhm.
from hearing people like Dr. Anthony Muhammad, Mike Matters, Principal Kafele, Andre,
Wow.
and just honing my craft and understanding that the first time you get grace, but you can't keep doing things wrong
Right.
every time.
Right.
Yeah.
You got your pass.
Right.
You got the pass now. You gotta
Yes.
fix it and run with it.
Right.
My
Yeah,
path
yeah.
was a little different. I went through the service route because I joined organizations. They're,
Okay.
hey, we need someone to present on these ideas.
Mhm.
That's my job as a librarian. My background, go do some research, learn about it, learn enough that you can teach it. And then they could teach someone else. And
Yeah.
that's when I started, they were like, okay, Gene, if you really believe in yourself, get up and talk about it. And that's how I got started. And I fell in love with it. I'm like, everybody is listening to me. I got that respect that I wanted from my colleagues
Yeah.
that I'd never had before in the classroom. Because, kids, they're teenagers, they have pay attention to
Yeah.
you. You might get one or two of them on the line.
I know they loved you though.
But
I know
well,
they
I
loved
like
you.
to think so. Shout out to all my former students
Let's
out there.
go.
Miss D still love you, papa. But that's how I started. And then I'm always a storyteller. I'm a writer at heart. And so creating my blog and getting started and getting the word out there and then following the people that I admire, say, hey, this is how I can help you.
Yeah.
Give them my time.
Yeah.
And then it turned around into paying.
Being a storyteller
Right.
is
Right.
that is like half the battle right there. And I don't even want to say battle, but that's half of the challenge into creating a keynote,
Right.
creating any sort of
Yeah.
speaking engagement that
Yeah.
you have. If you're just up there talking about strategies and terms and this, that, and the other, you're going to lose people. But if you can
Fast.
embed
Oh,
a story,
fast.
Well, that's what I loved
And
about
make
our
it
opening
relatable.
speaker today. Doc Brown, he came with fire,
Yeah.
but he was so relatable. You could see yourself in his situations, in his moments. He used the allegory of a backpack. All of us have carried a backpack before. We always have something on our shoulders.
Yes.
And so he made that relatable to
Yeah.
everyone. And that's what I love about public speaking, because you can touch somebody in a moment, in a second.
Sure can. Yeah. And so my journey, I'm a church kid. Born
Okay.
and raised, religious. My mom was a pianist. I played all the instruments and then
Wow.
some, was a singer, was during Easter at the black church, for those who may not know. You going to perform a speech or something, and you've been doing that since age 2. So me to get up in front of a crowd was no problem at all. No problem. It also teaches you how to read the room. Because
Okay,
at times
that's a whole
things will
yeah.
shift.
Read the room.
And
Yeah.
you got to be able to not only recognize that the room is changing,
Right.
but shift in a way to read the room and then redirect to
Right.
get back on track.
That's
Right.
the
You
You gotta-
adaptability.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you're starting to lose people, I'll take it back to DJing.
Right.
Yeah.
Back to DJing.
Oh,
If
yeah.
people got off the dance floor and weren't feeling the song, and I had to switch it up.
Oh yeah.
You know,
what was your go-to?
my
get back
go-to?
song?
Okay, my go-to. There was a couple of them, but when I would put Scrubs on by
that's a good
TLC,
one.
Oh,
There you
yeah,
go.
yeah. People
This
love
is
that.
how we
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Another
the,
one.
the guys
Yeah,
immediately
yeah,
left
yeah,
the floor.
yeah,
And it was
yeah.
girls dancing together.
Yeah.
But then there was the I think it was Made Men from
50?
Boston.
Oh no, Made Men. Okay.
Made Men who did the Pigeons version.
Oh right.
They made the
Right.
I would cut Scrubs off, like literally hit the turn and then cut in Pigeons right without missing a beat.
There you
go.
And it shifted, and that shifted the energy. So that one was a good one. And then I grew up in San Diego, California, born and raised on
I just
West
went
Coast.
there, by the way. I just went
Okay.
there.
Okay,
It's beautiful.
born and raised West Coast, and one of our West Coast anthems at the time, and it probably up until I would say to the day, is DJ Quick Tonight. When that song comes on,
yeah.
Yeah.
woke up Saturday morning and I got a headache. Oh man!
Yeah.
When I put that song on, people came out.
Yeah.
And they started walking and doing their thing, and that to me is the West Coast anthem where I could get people on the dance floor with that one.
And that's you knowing your audience.
And that is knowing your
Gotta
audience
know your
and
audience.
reading the room and being able to pivot on the
Yeah.
spot.
I don't
Yeah.
remember who the DJ was earlier before Doc Brown's session, but she was hitting it 2 times. I had to
DJ
stop
Khaled,
myself.
yeah.
Oh,
I had
really?
to stop myself from getting them. I was like, oh, wait, you at work
she
now. You
is
can't
fire.
act like that.
Oh, she
Okay,
is
okay.
fire. And then her mixes are things you wouldn't consider. Like, wait, I never thought of.
Mashing the two together,
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's fire.
sequential. You know,
That's
Exactly.
exactly
this
it.
doesn't really
Yeah.
fit to that, but
Yeah.
you made it work.
Had she played "Can We Talk" by Tevin Campbell,
That's on my
I'm
PD
telling you.
playlist.
I'm telling
That's
you.
on my PD
Yeah.
playlist when people are walking in the
Get
room.
it.
or the opposite end of that is Macarena or Sweet Caroline. If you play Sweet Caroline, depending on the audience,
I
once
can't
again,
stop believing.
Don't stop believing.
Yeah, don't stop believing.
Yeah, depending on the audience, you can quickly turn that thing back around.
But I do want to say one more thing about stories. I've learned that if you're not someone that has accomplished something great, like you're known for that, maybe don't lead with an origin story.
Right.
Now you can put traces of your origin story
Within.
as a featured speaker, but focus more on conversion stories.
Right.
Think about something that you had to overcome. Like
Yeah.
me, it was math. It was confidence. And people in the audience, when they hear you talk about a conversion story, and if they have the same issue, they are going to lean in
Right.
automatically.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they want to learn how you overcame it.
Yep.
So it shouldn't be a thing of humble bragging. It should be more a thing about how you've arrived at a certain point through a conversion story. And I want to show you guys just one more thing. So even to this day, when I'm rehearsing or before I go on stage, I got this little video of Jay when he was young.
Jay-Z?
Yeah.
And I just watched that just real quick.
Okay.
And just the way that he moved his arms and his hands. And if you watch me on stage, it's a slower version of that. But that was the inspiration.
Okay.
Just
okay.
someone that
Got it.
he would like talk to you.
Yeah.
Where you felt like he's talking to you the whole time. And I try to mimic that in what I do.
Okay.
And I think that's a great point, George. Find somebody who you don't have to mimic them 100%.
Right.
But find you a hero. Find you somebody that
Inspiration.
you say, yes,
Inspiration.
yes. And it may
Inspiration.
be, for me, it was the comedians. Like, I would watch and study film like I was playing basketball on some of the famous comedians,
Right.
like a Sinbad. A lot of
Right.
people don't know who Sinbad is,
Yeah.
Oh,
but Sinbad was a clean comedian.
Very.
But he
Yeah.
knew exactly, okay,
Apollo,
this
show
is
time
2
at the
minutes,
Apollo. Yeah.
2 minutes to set up this joke, 3 minutes for this punchline. I'm gonna do crowd work
That's
for
the
7.
science,
And he
right.
would literally research and study. And it's the same with people who want to be consultants or speakers. You gotta hook them quick.
Absolutely.
Because
Right.
if not, they're gonna go straight to their phones.
Yeah.
They're all in. So what hook are you gonna do? How it may be an origin story, maybe a conversion story, but how are you gonna gather their attention
Right.
and then keep it?
And
then
add
the great
value.
ones keep it. You know, they have you eating out the palm of your hand. Yeah.
And the other thing to think about too is, like you were saying, is you have to find your niche.
Yes.
There's a lot. There's two
Have your
things
receipts.
that
Have
are
your receipts.
yeah. There's
Exactly.
two things that will make or break you. Number one is paralysis by analysis.
Mhm.
I mean, you overthink. I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I can't. And you become your worst enemy. And number 2 is copycat syndrome.
Yes.
Is you have to take bits and pieces, like you were talking about Sinbad. I'm going to emulate some of that in my speaking, but I have to put my own twist on it.
Right.
I relate everything back to cooking. Like, I want to I want to be able to make a good, Spanish paella with shrimp and that, but I need to add my own flair,
Right.
Or
You have
maybe
to own the recipe.
or maybe
Right.
I'm watching my sodium intake. So I need to change things up so that it fits my audience and who I'm speaking to.
Build the layers and the flavor.
That's
it.
right. That's right. Yeah.
And don't get it twisted. We've all accidentally tried to copycat other people to find our voice.
Yeah.
I can remember back my first time, I was trying to mix this person with this person, and I was so sterile on the stage. Then finally somebody pulled me to the side like, what you doing?
Yeah.
That's not you.
Relax.
Yeah.
Where are you? Where's
Right.
Andre
And
at?
they could tell.
Yep.
Yeah.
They could tell. It's not. It doesn't feel right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I believe don't create your voice, find your voice. The voice is already inside
It's
you.
already there.
That you forgot was there because you let other people or you let yourself talk yourself out of that voice.
So what's your prep methods? Like for me to get into the zone today, I had to have my music right when I was putting on my makeup. I had to lay it out right. And my son, he was trying to be like, DJ Bo. And I'm like, you're not creating the inspiration to me. So I got my own phone out and I put on something more current, some little hip hop. I was in there dancing and he's like,
So you know what's weird?
going on, Mom?
So I stopped putting music because I'm no longer inspired by music the way I once was. This might sound crazy, but I just put some scripture or some word on, or some Stoic philosophy, right? And I pray.
Right.
I say the prayer that Moses said before he went to the Pharaoh,
Okay.
and then I say a prayer that the angels said before they met Adam, which basically says, "I know nothing except what you've taught me."
Right.
And
Yeah.
and then I try to go there, thinking that I've been sent here and they've been sent. So whether it's 5 people or 6,000 people, I'm gonna give the same energy,
Absolutely.
the same vibe.
I love this because this is 2 different things. And
Two different vibes.
Mine is the third different thing. I do affirmations.
Yeah.
Yes, I am
Yes.
afraid. Yes, I'm about to speak to X amount of people who I've never met. But yes, I'm worthy to be here.
Right.
Okay.
You're going to do
Yes,
that.
I am going to rock that thing like I would typically rock that thing.
Okay.
And then you get on the stage and the jitters are still there.
Yeah.
Right.
The nerves are still there.
Right.
Then you take that deep breath and you say, I got this.
Hey, the
So
last thing I
I-
say before I get on any stage is ancestors, let the words that come out my mouth
Ooh.
be of use to somebody.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, go out there
That's
and,
it.
and that's what I do.
Yeah.
I don't have any script, like, what I'm going to say. Nope.
Yep.
Ancestors going to guide my mouth.
Yep.
I'll be all right.
Hey Gabriel, it's not what you bargained for. I think we took you to church.
I'm sorry. Well, we
I feel
got to
like we could have
inspire
slated
people.
like
Keep-
easily an hour and a half
Exactly.
to talk
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah.
So I'll say mine. So
Okay.
I do a couple things. Number one, I will. You'll see me with AirPods at a conference, and that's not because I don't want to talk to people, but it's usually because I'm walking to a session that I have to present, or maybe it's a keynote or something, and I listen to something that will motivate me. Usually high energy.
Right.
And it could be the Deftones on one day. It could be DMX. It could be like all TCEA. It's been the latest Kendrick album.
Ooh.
And then I transition to thinking about my wife, my 2 kids. What legacy do I want to leave for them? What
Yeah.
do I want when I'm done, when I'm gone, when I transition?
Right.
What are people going to turn and tell my kids?
Wow.
Who could have attended this conference?
That's right.
Your father was XYZ. And then I think of my mother and father who passed away.
What
They've
they're
got
looking
me.
at,
They're
right?
looking
The
down.
ancestors.
They've got me. And then the last thing I do is I don't drink water
Right.
for like 3 or 4 hours prior to. I dehydrate
So you don't-
myself.
oh.
So I don't sweat.
Oh.
Wow.
So I
Oh,
don't sweat.
I gotta try that because
Yeah. It's a fine
gotta be
line between
chewing now. You
dehydrate
gotta be
and
chewing.
like dehydrate. So
Yeah,
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 so
okay,
just
okay,
I
okay,
don't
okay.
like to consume a lot of water.
Wow, we laid out there
sounds
on the
good.
stage.
If you guys want to share your socials and your information,
Absolutely.
then
Yeah.
where people can connect with you.
I am Awakened Librarian on X, Twitter, and of course on Blue Sky and Instagram. Same
Okay.
all the way around. Awakened,
good.
AWAKEN Librarian. You better believe it.
Okay.
So I'm George, JORGE, at JORGE does PBL on all platforms and at lifelonglearningdefined.com.
Yeah. And I'm Andre Daughty. Andre, Andre, Daughty, Daughty. Wherever your platform is, I'm there too.
All right, don't worry about pulling over, stopping your walk, or taking your headphones off to try to write this information down. All the information is going to be in the show notes. That way you can connect with these Fab 3. What did you call it earlier?
Tech Thrillas.
Tech Thrillas.
Okay, the Tech Thrillas.
Gotta
Yeah,
represent
that way you
it.
can hopefully be motivated to maybe if this is your first time listening or attending a conference of this magnitude, maybe this will motivate you to maybe put in a session for next year. And maybe if you put in a session, to put in 3 sessions, and maybe talk to some people about maybe doing something like being a featured speaker or something like that, which is where I'm at this point. So just know that whatever you are right now is your worst, and you're only going to get better. You're only going to get better. All right. I appreciate everything you guys are contributing to our educational space. Thank you for being a part of the show.
Thank you for having me.
We will see each other and many other conferences.
Same.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.